Yeah. Other thoughts? Yes.
Well,
Oh, yes, Transcendental Wild Oats.
Transcendental
Yes.
Wild Oats, and
Yeah.
she does have a in there. She has something about that when you eat meat, you are feeding the wolf and the lion within you.
Yeah.
So that kind of fit in right there.
Yeah.
With the,
That's nice. Okay. That can't possibly be
But
it.
did
Oh,
you-
yes, I see you, right.
What was the biggest challenge that you had in writing the book?
For you folks, or for all of us, or? Okay.
boy. Challenge.
For me, it was just not tinkering. It was, just leaving the things that I thought should be, maybe fixed after 140 years, but deciding they'd been like that for 140 years. It was very presumptuous of me to, because I found it very frustrating that she doesn't really tell us where the father lost the money. I don't know if that drove you crazy, but I just kind of could, because
I thought he lost it trying to help somebody.
Trying to help a friend. I'm sorry,
Right.
but if I put that in, my editor would recircle it and say, "How is he helping a friend? What friend?" I mean, I was. It was just this one line, but the whole story hinges on that one line, because the whole story is about them being good in their poverty. That they used to be rich, but now they're now they're better off.
No, that didn't bother me.
But Louisa, in her writing, was usually, not always, but usually very protective of her father. And, of course, the reason
Definitely.
that they didn't have money was that he had made all kinds of horrendous professional decisions, always on the highest ground of principle.
Right.
Bronson was a school teacher in Boston, and his school was starting to flounder a little bit. And a black family came to him with their young girl, Susan Robinson, and they said, "Mr. Alcott, we would like to enroll our daughter in your school." And he said, "Oh, yes, by all means, wonderful." And a couple of days later, the representative of the parents of the white children came around to his house and said, "If Susan Robinson stays, we're all going to go." And Bronson said, "Goodbye, we're keeping Susan Robinson," which is an incredibly brave thing to do, but it cost him his career, quite literally. And so, because of a number of very highly principled, idealistic, quixotic decisions, Bronson drove his own family absolutely into poverty. And Louisa both resented and respected her father for the things that he had done. And so when she euphemistically writes that he lost his money to a friend, Bronson was a friend of the world, and the world was not a friend to him. But also, I've always found it very interesting that Mr. March in Little Women is kept off stage so very much. He's away at the war. And then when he returns at Christmas, almost the first verb that is used with respect to him is disappeared. And what happens is he disappears beneath the hugs of the four girls who all rush him, and he vanishes from sight. But Louisa really wanted to keep Bronson out of view, at least in the Little Women project. She had an idea of writing a novel about him, but she was never able to do it. She only wrote a couple of chapters and published them as short stories. But that's at least some of the explanation why she couldn't really deal in a satisfactory way with what Bronson had financially done to the family.
On the topic of Bronson, I love how you made him a character. Well, Mr. March, that you really gave Mr. March a plot.
Yeah.
Which
Mr. March has lots to do.
Which I think is
Yes, he's
great.
very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I was wondering, John, with all that you know about the Alcotts and Little Women,
Sure.
did you discover anything new by reading their books?
I don't know if there are different ways of answering that question. In terms of factual knowledge, no. I mean, these are pieces of fiction. But I think what it did enable me to do was just to think a little bit in a novel fashion, in a new fashion, about what what alternative motivations might exist for the characters to reach fundamentally the same results.
Right.
And so Lynn does this with, instead of Louisa aspiring to be a writer, she aspires to be a vampire slayer. And yet, somehow...
Vampire slayer hunter.
Hunter.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'm not sure I know the distinction, but if it matters to you, love, it's all right. But you don't have to learn anything to enjoy something. And I, with deference to both Porter and Lynn, I wouldn't go to your books for edification.
Excellent.
But I would go to them for enjoyment.
Excellent.
Or more in Porter's case, if you want to, I think Oscar Wilde said you have to feed him, entertain him, or shock him. Porter will shock you. And Porter has told you that she's been true to the Alcott characters. I consider that to be an open question. And I think the other people could see it differently, but it's in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, okay.
I think it's funny that a lot of the central themes you've been talking about remind me of my literary theory classes back in college, just about, and would you consider this in some way to be sort of like a postmodern critique of, the futility of reading literature through the lens of literary theory? I'm kind of...
Can I answer that one?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that, I can't speak for Porter because I don't know, but I think Lynn and I both are sort of we revolt against theory in our own particular ways. You're in a perhaps more forward-looking way. I tend to be a little bit more of a traditionalist, but no, absolutely. There's the thesis and antithesis and synthesis with regard to that just goes on and on and on, and we've reacted to theoretical critiques, and people react to us and want to burn us at the stake and stuff like that.
Just chop off your fingers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, further. Oh yes, please.
I was just going to add to that I think it's interesting that in a sense, by having such fun with these books and subverting them, in a way it kind of reinforces their canonical status.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't do this just to some puny little books that nobody had thought about for 140 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It matters because you do it with Alcott and Little Women.
Yeah, I think that's quite right. Okay, anybody else? Having a lot of fun up here. You've been really making it great for us. Okay, we'll wait for it. And I do know that we have a book signing coming up. I don't know exactly where or how, but maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, actually, we're going to move these chairs back and bring some tables up here and set up signing up here, and there'll be sales down there, cash and credit. We do not take American Express card. And since I guess this is all, I would just like to take a moment to thank John Matteson for doing this very, very rarely.
And where's your ad?
Very rarely do you get exactly what you want. And when I sent out that email saying, prepare to be horrified, it was a Sunday afternoon. You figure you're not going to hear anything for a week. And he responded by, like 9:30. When we came home from dinner, there was an email, heart racing. So thank you so much for being so game.
Thanks. I even tried to put in plastic fangs for tonight, but they kept falling out, and it was just not right. So.
All right, so
It was wonderful and round, too.
So should we, I guess, depart the stage, and then they'll move things around? All right, thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.